analysis one, which is titled "Is Mutapa Investment Fund a Game Changer?" As Gift Mugano says. And we are waiting for Mugano also to come in. But we've got a few guests also in the back seat. Yeah, Chief and Doc Mavaza, if you guys could get you on your video, because then at least the layout can start to show up. It will start to show up a little bit better. Okay. Right, right, right,
Yeah,
right, right, right.
I was hoping Chief to do his video on. You remember, I
Okay,
requested not to put my
right.
video on.
Yes, you had, yeah. hmm
Yeah, I can see you. I can see Comrade Mukori.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't switched on your video, then it just won't show. Do you get what I mean? So it just won't show. But anyway, um, we we're gonna start with a curtain raiser. Hi, Chief. Hi, Wilbert. How you doing, folks?
We are fine. I can see
No,
Chief here in
I
the
good.
light.
Yeah, we can see you,
Okay.
Simba, now.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. What we have here quickly. We have two others in the stream. Okay, but they're not switched on. Okay. So we have
Yeah,
we
it
also
says
have guys.
audio only. I don't know
Yes,
why.
yeah. I'm hoping that they can come on video. Okay. So we've got guys on Twitter Space also. And what I would like to do, folks, is just for us to do a quick curtain raiser. We've got three news topics to discuss tonight, but we'll just start with a quick curtain raiser here. Yeah, this during the week we had a sudden shot. We call it a shot. It was just a total complete change in the community. One government critic of the Wilbert level, I think, called Professor Gift Mugano just popped out, and then he announced that the Mutapa Investment Fund is a game changer. Right. So I think I'm hoping that while we're waiting for everyone else, we could just have this quick curtain raiser. And I took deep interest in that very topic, because this man, Professor Mugano, has been a very, very bitter critic of the regime, of the government, and all of a sudden he's changed. And he said, look, he has done his checks, and yeah, and he says, look, this is in fact a game changer. But anyway, I'm hoping that we can just do a quick curtain raiser on that. Doc Mavaza, while we're waiting on you, I would like Champion and Zambezi on Twitter Space just to take us through what you heard of Professor Gift Mugano. Give us your 2 minutes if you can. Champion, I hope you can request your mic and just give us a quick curtain raiser on that matter that Professor Mugano was throwing to the public. I mean, it's for the first time that Professor Mugano has all of a sudden completely um, changed. Right. Okay. Anyway, quickly, folks. Zambezi, how you doing? Oh, good, 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 good. Yeah. Yeah. Would you like to give us a teaser on that? How did you find this game changer? Do you believe that the Mutapa Fund is a game changer?
Not exactly. So it would appear like a game changer, but the lack of transparency will hinder that, will hinder the accrual of any benefits to the people of Zimbabwe, because with the level of corruption we have in Zimbabwe, the lack of transparency, because what these guys have done is they've shielded the Mutapa Fund from the usual scrutiny. So these guys in Tapa Fund have no obligation to report everything or to have their procurement stuff analyzed by people outside their structure. So that is going to be a major hindrance. And instead of being a game changer for the people of Zimbabwe, it may only be a game changer for the guys who are benefiting from it. And by that I mean looters. It's very controversial, because in a corrupt state like Zimbabwe, to expect transparency where there is no oversight is going to be very tough.
Wow, interesting. Champion, how did you find it? I noticed you were interacting with Professor Mugano, Champion, on Twitter Space. Let us know, why are you against the idea of a common public fund that the president will generously distribute to the public? Because I noticed you are so against what was introduced by the president and is now being trumpeted by Professor Mugano. Take us through.
Simba, I think it is very. Let me start with the behavioral one. Yeah, behavioral one. The behavioral one is simple. How simple is that? Like, let me give an example. The example that I will give you is something that is interesting because let me start with where they talked about Zik as a gold-backed currency. We do have got instances where people like in Shire are running away with gold and smuggling it. Then someone comes to me and say to you, I will come up with a currency that is backed by gold. One of the things that you have to tell yourself is that this is just a lie, because if you wanted to have a currency that is backed by gold, why are you smuggling gold yourself and your cronies that are closer to you? So by the end of the day, what we should look at is that before we can talk about the Mutapa Fund, let's look at is the Mutapa Fund being audited? Because I think to anybody, maybe I forgot, but it is there as well called R24 in South Africa, which means the management of investment funds. The investment fund must have a board, and this board should have an investment strategy, and they should come up with companies in which they invest. But right now, you do have got Mutapa funds. Companies that were taken over by Mutapa Fund, most of them are defunct, and most of them are not even operating. They are just those companies that are already dormant, right? So when you can't say you are going to have a game changer of your company that is dormant, you should be investing that money into a company or a vehicle. Let me give you an example. Like, I think in South Africa there's a public investment fund called PIC, Public Investment Corporation. Most of it buys shares in companies like Shoprite, investing the pension fund into vehicles that are profitable. And now you are looking at that. It is also subjected to corporate governance. So in Zimbabwe, the corporate governance can act on its own. So what should have been done? They should have followed a corporate governance, having a board, right? And I want to ask you this question, right? To say, if a government department, let me say, for instance, ZEC doesn't have an audit committee right now as I'm speaking, you expect now Mutapa Investment Fund to have an audit committee from where? Even an internal audit or an internal audit function, they don't have. So there is something that you have to look for and ask yourself twice before you can go. Yes, of course, we can talk about transparency, we can talk about all these things, but remember, what brings transparency is assurance services. Assurance services, number one, it should be audited by an external auditor. That's number one. Number two, it should be audited internally by the internal auditors. Two. So there are two assurance providers that should be important. Internal audit function and external audit function that should be hired. Then you move away from there, you go to the investment strategy. It should have an investment strategy, but there's no investment strategy. Then from there, you look at the assets that have been taken. Right now, for your own information, before those companies were taken, what should have happened? They should have valued those companies. But the catch is, or the problem is, You can't value a company that is dormant. Why? Because, all right, if you want to value a company that is dormant, the only thing that you are going to do is to come up with a liquidation value. And when you go to a liquidation value, you may find that, especially in Zimbabwe with our parastatals that were taken, most of them, their liabilities are exceeding assets that these companies have or parastatal have. So what will be the problem? The problem will be you are taking companies that are highly valued and you are selling them, or you are taking them over for a single, let me say for a single, just a song, or no dollar, no money, no whatsoever. So by the end of the day, what does that mean? It's just there to perpetuate looting, not to, and I don't think the Zimbabweans, if they are those who are expecting much, I think I'm sorry for them because what they're expecting is something that does not exist. Because if Mutapa was existing, I think I have given you some procedures. And as well, you don't just wake up from your house and start to value a company. What do you need to do? You need to also seek the services of an evaluator who is experienced enough and who understands the business or the industry that you are dealing with. So there's a need as well to look at all those things and come up with information, and that information should be disclosed to the public. But in this case, there is a lot that is happening. And if you go into history, 2022, 2023, 2024, Mutapa has paid dividends to or has bought out a Kubimba for 1.9 billion. You ask yourself, how did you buy out an investor? What happened? Who valued that 12% in Kubimba that was bought out from that investor? I think it's remember when you do when you value something, right? What do you need to do, or when you want to transfer ownership, you need to value that ownership before you transfer it, so that by the end of the day you get a fair value of it. If you look at it,
Well,
2022, yes.
are you ready to talk now?
Yes, yes. We're going to be switching to you, Dr. Mavaza. And maybe if you could start to land a champion.
I can't say champion.
Yes.
No, landing is not an issue. Just land right now, but I'll
Mhm.
come back and finish it.
Okay. Right. Okay. No, thank you very much. Okay. Let's switch now to Dr. Mavaza. And the panel, we've got our main panel here on video. Dr. Mavaza, Wilbert Mukori, and Chief Sose. I hope you're in, folks. Maybe you can switch on your videos, Dr. Mavaza, and okay. Thank you very much, gents. I'm glad that you're here. Um, uh, Wilbert, maybe let's start with Dr. Mavaza. Dr. Mavaza, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Mavaza, why does your party insist on this investment fund? Please just take us through your 2 minutes.
In short, Simba,
Uh,
if you have heard what the last speaker said, he
uh,
said it very well without understanding what he's saying. The point is clear here. The Mutapa investment, it's an investment meant to assist, help, and upgrade our economical standing. By roaming in some companies, big companies, even though they were defunct or look like they're not working, it shows that it's now a game changer. It's changing those companies from dying companies to live companies and to companies which are producing and actually giving a change into our economical face, which was going down all along. So the Mutapa investment or the Mutapa fund is actually there to work as a strong backbone for our economy. Yes, in every area where there is money, there is always one or two guys who will be quite fraudsters, who would want to benefit themselves and not the nation. We cannot then say because there is corruption in Zimbabwe, then that fund may not work. We cannot condemn the fund over corruption on other issues which have nothing to do with this fund. The Mutapa investment or fund has nothing to do with ZEC as he was referring to. And if you say that this fund is not transparent, it's not true. every end of a financial year, the Mutapa investment fund will be telling people how much we've made, how we've made it, what have we invested, what have we done as a country, as an investment. So it is actually, it's not the only country which has an investment fund which backs and supports its economy. In South Africa, we have a company called TV Otakangwani, which is a company which promotes, supports. It's a government company which is an investment vehicle. So this is what we have in Zimbabwe. So therefore, when you look at it, we must look at it with a positive eye. Zimbabwe is going places, and indeed, I agree with Professor Mgano. This is a game changer. It's being run by professionals in finance and economics, and then they are doing it for the in the best interest of each and every Zimbabwean, including Wilbert sitting there and Chief Social there. They are benefiting from this investment without them knowing, but we will excuse them for their ignorance and accept them on their wish to understand that this fund, it is meant for them and the whole
Wilbert,
Zimbabwe.
Wilbert, you
Simba, let me jump
uh,
in there before
uh, yeah, sure, sure.
Wilbert. I know what Wilbert is going to say anyway. So it's
Uh-huh.
Just speak for yourself. Don't speak for me.
and Dr. Mavaza is a so-called doctor of law. He's clueless to economic matters. You can just see that he's just doing like his principle, Feja economics. That's what he's trying to do. He doesn't understand what is going on in that fund. He is completely clueless. Everyone, even a person like myself, who did O-level and A-level economics, knows that there is nothing that is going to come out of that fund. It's never going to benefit the people of Zimbabwe. It's never going to benefit the economy of Zimbabwe. It will just benefit a few individuals, including Emerson Mnangagwa, his twins, his wife, and a few others that are closer to him. Even Dr. Mavaza, who is speaking here, who was saying that we are benefiting indirectly. We are not benefiting. Even himself is not going to benefit anything. He knows that this is just an opportunity for ZANU-PF, Emerson Mnangagwa, to take money from the people of Zimbabwe. As for Dr. Muganu, he is someone I respect. He is someone that I know, someone that I have spoken to. I mean, not know personally, but someone that I have spoken to. I've even interviewed, I had a program with him. That's how much I respect him in as far as economics matters, economic issues are concerned. So I'm shocked. I'm a little disappointed, if I may say so, how he has just flipped over and started, all of a sudden, he is now saying whatever policies or this part of the policy is going to work. He is someone who has been criticizing Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF's policies. And of all the policies that he has criticized, he has picked out this one that it is going to work simply because he had a breakfast meeting with the so-called governor of Zimbabwe. I'm disappointed, Simba, because we had a similar scenario some years back when we were talking about the bond, when we were fighting the launch of the bond, the introduction of the bond note into the Zimbabwean economic system. We were supporting some of our colleagues to to lead us into that. There was supposed to be a big demonstration, the mother of all demonstrations about the bond note in Zimbabwe. And this is something that is sensitive, but I'll mention it, I'll say it. Some of our colleagues went and had a breakfast meeting, a similar meeting that this governor had with Dr. Mganu. And while we were preparing for the logistics were in place. I know very well what was going on because I was part not part. I was very much into that plan, into that demonstration. The money had been raised, the money had been collected, the money had been sent to Zimbabwe, and all the logistics were in place. People had been moving around. When you are having a demonstration doesn't just come out a demonstration like what Geza was trying to do, that people will just wake up in the streets. People don't just wake up in the streets. People are mobilized, people are organized, people are galvanized, and that process had been done. People were all over in all the high density suburbs, in Highfield, in Mavuku. People were ready to fight the bond note, and the meeting happened. The breakfast meeting happened. And the following day, we saw a press statement coming out, oh, the bond note is going to work. These are our comrades. These are the people that we're working with. These are the people that were supposed to be leading that demonstration. These are the people that had approached the people in the diaspora saying that we want to have a big demonstration, the mother of all demonstration, to force ZANU-PF and the government to stop the introduction of the bond note. But boom, because of a mere breakfast meeting, I don't know what was in the tea that they were drinking, that demonstration never took place. It was cancelled, demonstration cancelled. After that meeting, I'm not going to mention names, but Simba, you know what I'm talking about. And those who know what I'm talking about. And now we are having Professor Mganu, someone that people are having a lot of confidence in. People were putting their faith in him, because we need people like Professor Mganu that will come and explain to people, break down things that are happening, and people understand. And he has been doing that very well. I've been following him on Twitter. A lot of people were following him, are still following him on Twitter, and they invested their faith in him, that he would be pointing out things that the people of Zimbabwe need to know. But here he is, he had a meeting with the governor, so-called governor, and he comes back telling Zimbabweans that this is going to work. I don't know. I don't want to speculate what could have happened. I don't want to say he could what he could have been promised. I don't want to say he was promised a car like what others are being done, or money or whatever. I don't want to say that. He is someone I respect, but I just hope that he is not going to live to regret the words that he has said, like what my brother Hopo Chingono, is now doing. He endorsed Emerson Mnangagwa when he came in, and he said, let's give him a chance. And then what did Emerson Mnangagwa do? And he was left with a big eggshell on his face. And I hope that's not going to happen to Professor Mganu, because he is a respectable someone. And some people, even us, we're already seeing him, as someone who could, provide information, to the people of Zimbabwe, so that we can make informed decisions. But personally, I'm already out, because I'm not following what he's saying, and I don't. Okay, let me just round up. Personally, I don't buy what he is saying, because I don't believe that the Mutapa Fund is going to work for the people of Zimbabwe. It started badly, like what our champion was saying. Dr. Mavaza doesn't understand economics. He doesn't understand what champion was saying, but he was saying the very same things that has been said about the Mutapa Fund, that are there. They are in the public domain. If you want to read, you read about it. That all the companies that were bought, they were undervalued, and then they were bought again by ZANU-PF people, and then now they're being sold to the people of Zimbabwe at a very inflated rate. So the way they've already started just shows you that this is not for the people of Zimbabwe. This fund is for some people. There are some people who sat down somewhere at a farm somewhere, and they agreed that We want to
If
loot.
you can
We are
land.
going to take money, and that's
Mm.
what's happening. And it's
Okay.
very unfortunate that Professor Mganu has been robbed
Is
into
saying that,
this.
yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, thank you. Wilbert, come in. And Wilbert, as you come in, we should have really had this type of order. Wilbert, while are you responding over this, are you also able to touch on the proposal by Wutaunashe that he's made today? Well, it's been made also by, it's said that this is a proposal by Botswana people to rename Francistown Nyangabwe.
Right, Siba, as
Yeah.
Wilbert is coming in, I want you to acknowledge whether you remember this meeting that was done by some of our comrades with the governor, and that cancelled a very big demonstration that was supposed to happen. And the following week, the bond note was launched. If you can just refresh your memory, I know you will talk about it.
All right. Or you mean the Mawarire one, yeah?
Not the Mawashiri one. I'll
Uh,
text you. If you've
right.
forgotten, I'll text you. You will remember, I know. Okay.
So, but can I just come in on this,
Yes, yes, yes. Please.
Professor
Are
Maganu
you able?
thing?
Are you also able, Wilbur, to touch on the proposal to rename Francistown, to rename it Nyangabwe? That
Sorry,
Wutaunashe made.
that one I can't comment because I
Oh, you're
actually
not aware. Okay,
hearing
okay,
it.
okay. Take us
Yeah.
through. Take us through, Professor Muganu. I'm just saying because you know what the interpretation around that renaming of Francistown. Some people are seeing it as another Mutapa initiative. If that makes sense. But nevertheless, just leave it. Talk about Professor Muganu's passionate appeal to the Zimbabweans that Mutapa is a game changer.
Yeah, on that one, I don't know whether you're able to show the part of the email that Professor Mganu has shown there. I don't know whether you can show it on the screen. But the important
Um,
thing there is, as much as I respect Professor Mganu, because I think some of his analysis, even for some of us who are not experts, were able to follow it, and it made a lot of sense. But in this particular case, for him to turn around and say the Mutapa Fund, investment fund, is a game changer, to me, that was completely, I couldn't understand it. Let's put it that way. Let's understand that the investment fund, a state investment fund, is not something new. Other nations have done the same thing. South Arabia, Norway, and many other countries have got a similar arrangement. And it has worked very, very well for those countries. In the case of Zimbabwe, the main problem we have is that we have got a political system that is dependent on the people who are appointed in some of these organizations are political appointees. In his email, Dr. Mganu acknowledged that some of these organizations that will be funded by the fund or have any benefiting from the fund will have chief executives who must be competent. That is the crux of the matter. In the past, we know that these organizations have failed. We're talking of here, I mean, funding organizations like ZESA, Cisco Steel, NRZ. They've been funded by the government, which in this case here could well have been Mutapa investment funds, public funds used to finance parastatals. These parastatals have failed to perform because of political appointees in those organizations. This is why most of these parastatals have failed. And that problem still remains. The very fact now that instead of government or Minister of Energy being involved in the funding of ZESA is now coming through Mutapa Investment Fund. It's neither here or there. As long as you have got a situation where the chief executive, the line managers in these parastatals are appointed politically and not on merit, that problem still remains. And I think in that posting by Professor Muganu, he acknowledged that fact. What he did not address is how has that been resolved. And in Zimbabwe, I do not think anyone can honestly say we have resolved the problem of political appointees failing to perform until we resolve the problem of bad governance. And at the heart of it, rigged elections. We are wasting our time if we think we can solve Zimbabwe's economic problems without addressing the fundamental problem of rigged elections and bad governance. And that is the argument that I presented in my own analysis of that document, of that post.
Okay.
Sorry, by Professor.
Okay. Thank you, Simba. Thank you. I will respond quickly to both gentlemen. I know Mkori has an obsession now of rigged elections, even though his boss Chamisa told the whole nation that he is now plugging off all the plugs of rigging and is going to seal all the holes of rigging, which he did. And I believe in Chamisa that he did that. And therefore there was no single rigging.
Mabaza.
Let me finish.
Wait.
Let me finish. You can talk.
Wilbert doesn't subscribe to Chamisa, so don't call Chamisa Wilbert's boss. Boss Wilbert, we know who he is. He is part of you.
Okay, Wilbert
he is your brother. He
okay.
is Mnangagwa's boy.
No. Let me finish. Okay, I was about to call you comrade, but we don't have a comrade like that. But let me explain this to you. Wilbert, your failure to understand the purpose of the Mutapa Investment Fund does not make it a non-starter. We have explained to you clearly, and that has been explained. Even Professor Muganu had turned back to understand that he was lost all along. And then now he believes that indeed this is a game changer. Yes, there are companies which were no longer working, which were bought and now sold to Mutapa Investment. This is exactly where the name game changer comes. It's going to change and going to resurrect the dead companies to be live again and provide employment, provide revenue, and provide capital for other companies which will be benefiting from this company. So therefore, you cannot, in any case and in any way, you cannot say or begin to say buying a company which is defunct is a sign of inefficiency. No, it's a sign of confidence that we will do it, we can do it, and we're going to do it. But now let me briefly come to the point, Simba, you were talking about where Utaunashe talked about changing the name of Francistown to Nyangabwe. What happens in Botswana, whether they want to change their towns' names and everything, it is their business. This only shows that if they have taken a Zimbabwean name, it simply shows the influence of Zimbabwe around our neighbors. But it has nothing to do with ZANU-PF or the president. It simply shows you that the influence, the echoes of power, the echoes of confidence the president is actually exhibiting around the region is actually catching up, and all the countries, you'll be surprised, they want to call their countries by our name. The whole world understands that the president of Zimbabwe is doing the best and is one of the best leaders ever seen on earth. That's why you can see these countries clamoring, queuing to get their names similar to ours. This actually puts a shoe into the throat of the likes of Jokora and this Mkori guy, and other people around there to show you that, look, you might undermine your country, you might scandalize your president, you might insult the changes which are profitable he is doing, but the region and the world, they are looking, appreciating, accepting, even prophesying to change the names of their towns, names of their countries. You will not be surprised, Jokora, to know very soon that even Donald Trump might want to change his name to Donald E.D. Mnangagwa, and because he actually loves how Comrade Mnangagwa is carrying his country ahead, leaving no one behind, and leaving no stone of poverty unturned. And he is the man who is actually putting the Zimbabweans at that level. Yes, and he's the man.
Now
Where
let's
on
talk
earth,
of
in
the
conclusion?
reality here, not
Yes,
not not
let
your
me
dream
finish.
world. You
Let me
always
finish.
wonder, end
Where
up talking
no,
about
I
something
never
that is
I
totally
never
unrelated.
interfered when you were
No, no,
talking.
no. I mean,
I gave you a
let's talk
chance.
about the
Do
realities,
not do
okay?
not allow no no say don't allow your madness to catch up with the discussions. Allow me to finish and then you can talk. I know you Triple C and MDC people, you love to disrupt programs. Now I want you to comment on one point, Wilbert. Jokora had said there was a meeting which was done when they had planned to do a demonstration against bond, and then after a meeting where BT and others they did a meeting with some other people, and then the demonstration was stopped. Let me tell you again, in case you had forgotten, Triple C, MDC, whatever they were calling themselves that time, they realized that they were actually campaigning for the demonstration to disrupt and to try to remove the democratically elected government by force. And then they realized that the scapegoat they were using, which was the bond note, was not going to do anything. They realized that on the ground, the people were not willing to demonstrate. And when they realized that, they actually called for a meeting. And in that meeting, they actually expressed their wish to withdraw from demonstrations and to tell the people of Zimbabwe that they were wrong because they never believed the bond note would work. And they then withdrew the demonstrations. That's why there was never a demonstration. It was not a sign of being bribed or bought, as Jokwara wants us to believe. It was simply a sign of a disorganized, disarrayed opposition, which then had a chance to think again, and then they realized they were wrong, and they withdrew from that
Master, let's have
demonstration
a
they were setting
dialogue.
up
You
themselves.
always end up rattling
Yes.
endlessly on
So
something that has got nothing to do with it. Why
in
should
this
I
way,
comment on that demonstration? I never raised the issue of the
thank you
demonstration.
for not commenting
But,
because you
but,
knew it
but,
was
but in this
correct.
particular
But
case, let's confine ourselves to this Mugano. People want to know whether this
I am going back to Mganu,
fund
but
is going
I
to
am
be a
answering
game
all
changer.
the
Let's
questions which
discuss
were
it.
asked. The questions which were put to me by Simba, they are the ones I'm answering. The fact that we are bankrupt on on knowledge over the issue of that meeting does not mean we don't have to talk about it. I have to state it out clearly that you understand. So, in short, and as I am landing now, I want you to understand clearly a little bit, and those of the same thinking as yours and the Jokora, that the Mutapa Investment Fund is the best thing ever introduced in Zimbabwe, where our finances and our investments are easily tracked, checked, and actually being competitive at a market level and not at any other level. And this is happening not for the purpose of benefiting one or two people, but benefit for the best interest of each and every Zimbabwean child. As the president have said that no one will be left behind. Mutapa investment is there to make sure that nobody is going to be left behind. The financial sector, in economic sector, any other sector, all the service users of our economy would understand that Zimbabwe is going to be better, is growing, and the Mutapa investment has brought a lot of good things. We can now even afford money to buy cars for our footballers. We can afford money to buy cars for our clowns. We can afford all these things because we are working very hard. Mutapa investment is actually showing, and the fruits of the money we are making, the profits we are making. You can see it on the road that even our women sleep ladies are driving the state of the art cars because we can afford them. And this is not coming from a
No,
government
you're
fund.
taking forever to land.
Like, so,
I'd
yes,
like to refer
okay.
the listeners there to what we are showing there on the screen.
Yes,
The
so
point there is the point number 2,
Mukori,
where Professor Muganu said
Mukori, that does
improvement
not
of
stop me.
corporate governance of entities under the fund. That is the most, to me, that is the most
To you,
important
unfortunately, I'm not
here.
talking to you.
That has
I am
been the
responding.
problem
I
with
am
our
responding to the questions put
Magaza.
to the
Let
panel.
other people speak as well.
So let me finish.
No. Let
I'm
other
finishing now.
people speak. We cannot have this situation where you
You,
rattle on for 10 minutes. You are supposed
you
to have 2 minutes.
okay? You now need to listen. I'm
Okay.
about to finish.
Let me emphasize that point.
No.
The point
I've heard
here
you.
is
Allow me to finish.
parastatals like ZESA,
Do not behave.
NRZ, Grand Marketing Board have all failed because we lacked corporate governance in those organizations. That issue is not being resolved by this Mutapa Investment Fund, because Mutapa Investment Fund itself, the board members who are running it are political appointees, and
This is your problem. Listen, let
the
me finalize my
parastatals that they're
submission
supposed to be
before it interrupt.
appointing will
No, listen.
also be politically
Now,
appointed.
Wilbert, can you please listen? I'm finishing.
No,
Right
Balaza,
now,
you're interrupting me.
no,
You never allow other
I am
people to
not
speak.
interrupting you. I'm putting you in order. I'm calling you to order. You
Wilbert, can
spoke
you allow
while I was
Mawaza
speaking.
to finish
He never
to
learns.
learn?
That's the problem
Yeah,
with
yeah.
our
Now,
friends.
now I'm learning.
Yeah, please allow
Firstly,
him to learn.
Wilbert,
Then we
you
can have a
must
conversation.
understand that if there is anybody appointed by the state to run a parastatal or to run an investment fund, it simply means that the state had seen that this person is qualified to be in that field. And therefore, all those elected or selected by the president to run these funds, they are competent enough. But it does not mean that if they tend to become corrupt during the service of the duty appointed to them, it does not reflect on the president, it reflects on them. But as for now, we cannot say or point at any corrupt thing done by the Mutapa investment fund. Actually, it has done the best for the country, and we are now actually praising it and hoping that it would have been formed long back. The country will be the first world economy by now. But now our vision 2030 is going to be recognized if we put our trust in the
Okay.
Mutapa investment.
Yeah, Wilbert, you can jump in now.
Yeah, there's something, folks.
Let's
Before Wilbert you speak, there's something that Wilbert seems to be throwing here, folks. I think that we are probably losing. We could easily lose before we end. It is the suggestion, and by the way, we'll need to start rolling down here. We're supposed to end by on the o'clock. Okay. Will Mutapa improve the GDP? Will it restore the GDP back to its 1996 glory? Was there 1996 glory, Wilbert, by the way? But anyway, that's what it says there, right? Wondering, I would rather have maybe had 86 glory, but maybe in 96 there was glory, but I remember 96 there was ESAP. Okay. But anyway, will Mutapa improve GDP, and how will it improve GDP? Wilbert.
see, but it will not improve anything. This is at the heart of it. This is just another way of shifting responsibility. Originally, parastatals like ZESA were funded by government through the Ministry of Energy. Now, parastatals like ZESA will be funded by this Mutapa Investment Fund. This is just semantics. We are changing the titles of the individuals involved. Because even within the Ministry of Energy, they were funded through the Ministry of Finance. That's where they will get the money from. And the money, the nation will be told they've got to account for it. And Mawaz was telling us that if the president appointed the chief executive of ZESA, it must be because he is competent. The fact still remains on the ground that ZESA, NRZ, and all these other parastatals have not been performing. And this is what the point that has been emphasized. In this particular case, it has been a black hole. We pour money into it, we invest more and more money into it, and we get nothing. And most of these parastatals, one of the reasons why they've collapsed is we have got chief executives who put priority in buying expensive cars for themselves and their fellow line managers when they could not pay salaries or pay for basic maintenance of that particular parastatal. And the fourth point that is also Professor Maganu is also mentioning there, improve service delivery. It will service delivery, when you're talking of ZESA and load shedding, that is failure to deliver the services.
Okay, Simba, allow Zokora to respond.
No,
I have to
Master.
answer too.
No, you can't come in
respond.
before I come in. We gave you time to speak.
My name is not Zokora. I said allow Zokora to respond.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, Chief, we're about to roll down because we really need to be as disciplined as we can on this. Are you in agreement? And why aren't you in agreement with Dr. Mavaza, who insists that GDP will be improved by Mutapa?
I'm not in agreement with Dr. Mavaza, and I'm also not in agreement with Professor Mganu. For all the respect that I have in him, I feel his statements and his sentiments are as dangerous as Mavaza is trying to do here, to make the people of Zimbabwe believe that there is something that is being done by the government that is going to work for the people of Zimbabwe. This is not going to work for the people of Zimbabwe. This is merely going to work for a few people in ZANU-PF, including Emmerson Mnangagwa. It's just another hot balloon. It's not going anywhere. So to me, I feel so disappointed with Professor Mganu, because when he speaks, we were seeing him as someone who was speaking for the people of Zimbabwe. And we were building trust and faith in him. So imagine the impact that he has, or his words, or his analysis has on the ordinary Zimbabwean who was believing him, including myself. People will begin to think that ZANU-PF is doing something that is right. That is dangerous, Simba, because we all know what ZANU-PF has done. They've rolled out these programs, big programs with big names, with big professors, and what Mavaza was saying, that qualified people, they have all the people, the qualified people, the infrastructure, they have everything, but they don't have what it takes to make any fund, any economic policy work. First of all, the political situation in Zimbabwe doesn't allow for anything economic, any economic development, positive economic development to take place. It doesn't allow. Where the politics is bad in a country, don't expect investment to come. Don't expect the economics of the country to improve. And there is also complete lack of transparency. When there is no transparency, when the public are not allowed to comment on anything, when there is no oversight, from parliament and from all the organizations that are necessary in a country that are now not allowed to comment on anything. Parliament, doesn't even do anything. Nothing is brought to parliament. It's just from the farm to Mutapa office to Wicknell and to all the others, Ganandas, and then it becomes public policy. The public has not even been informed. The public is not even allowed to comment or given an opportunity to comment on any of the economic policies that affect them. So it's not going to work. It's never going to work. And unfortunately, one of the good people that we thought was, he had come in to stand in for the people
Right? Is he gone?
I think he's been cut. Yeah, maybe we could.
That's better. Let
Okay,
me
yeah,
comment now.
we could.
Finally,
We're going to be ending with you, Dr. Mavaza,
yes. So
because
let me.
you're on the defense. So we want to hear
Yes.
you. Why on earth do you support something that to so many people looks like just plunder? This is a
Let,
scheme
let me
that is just entrenching one individual to have control of all the resources of the country.
let me explain this to you. The
Yes.
Mutapa Investment Fund, which is now called MIF, is poised to significantly boost Zimbabwe's GDP, which Corey is not understanding. It has a projected value of over 30 billion dollars by 2030. And we're talking about US dollars. So the Mutapa Investment Fund is expected to contribute up to 20% of the country's GDP. So the fund's diverse portfolio spans from mining, energy, infrastructure, agriculture, and a lot of things. And it will drive economic growth and create jobs. We will not be relying on Chinese only or any other person. We will be creating our own funding, our own people will be employed by their own fund. And there are the key areas, Simba, of impact, which we must look at when we deal with the Mutapa investment fund. It's investments in gold, lithium, and other minerals. They will increase revenue and create employment opportunities, which people are not looking at. They are looking at the corruption being played elsewhere, but there will be employment opportunities. There will be infrastructure development, so like development of transport and logistics networks will enhance trade and commerce. So agriculture will be actually be revamped, and there will be support for agricultural projects, and this will improve food security and exports. Zimbabwe will never be begging for food. It will be restored back to the bread basket of the world this time and not of the region. And if you talk of energy, investments in energy exploration and production will reduce reliance on imports and power economic growth. We look at what the ECO of Pomona, Dr. Ngwa, is doing. We are actually generating energy from the rubbish we have been throwing away for the benefit of Zimbabwe. And they are not only benefiting us by recycling energy from waste, but they're collecting the waste from the people. That means they are keeping the town clean and keeping it bright. So the Mutapa Investment Fund is very transparent. It's a transparent governance structure and experienced leadership, which has been appointed by the president himself. And they aim to ensure accountability and efficiency in management. So we cannot stand here and say they are not accountable or they are not transparent. The fund's objective, Simba, is to align with Zimbabwe's Vision 2030, which I've been saying since we started, targeting upper middle income status by 2030. So while challenges remain, including global economic pressures and implementations gaps, the Motapa investment, Simba, is potential to transform Zimbabwe's economy is so substantial, and we are going to benefit from this fund. So I would say sorry to Jokora and Wilbert. They'll be looking from behind as Zimbabwe moves ahead, and I'll end up, Simba, by reminding you what our president always says: when an elephant moves, dogs will bark behind, but that does not stop an elephant from moving. And when the two elephants fight, it is the grass which suffers. So in this time, when the Mutapa investment and the economic things clash, it will be poverty which suffers because Zimbabwe is destined to success and progress.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mavaza. I think we're going to be ending. Gents, I don't know if anyone has a quick point to make before we shut because
Yeah, can I
we've gone
just
over.
make
Yeah, yeah. In
my
30
response on
seconds,
that one,
30
Simba?
seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds as we end. 30 seconds
Okay.
strictly,
I,
and then
I,
we shut.
I think I'll re-emphasize the point I've made. This Mutapa Investment Fund will not change anything until we change the politics in Zimbabwe. As long as Zimbabwe remains a pariah state ruled by individuals who are looting the country's wealth, the country will never economically recover. That is the reality that we are facing. We are being told here that everything is going to be fine. How long have we heard that story? Since after independence, many of us remember the Kutsa Rushinji. Robert Mugabe used to say that repeatedly at all his speeches. Kutsa Rushinji, mass prosperity. But what actually happened? Mass poverty. And now we are having a revised version of it. This issue of Vision 2030, that the country's economy will be an upper middle income state where the GDP per capita would be at the present moment is 6,000 US dollars. And for it to be upper middle income, it has got to be 6,000, sorry, at the present moment is 2,000. It has got to be 6,000 in 5 years' time.
No,
And
see,
yet,
but I think 10
Nyangabwe has
seconds is
been
gone,
in power
and that would
for
need to
8
respond as
years,
well.
and it has not improved. The GDP
Wilbert, you
has
can't
not
speak
improved.
forever. I think
So
what
in
you've
this
said,
particular
Simba,
case, we are being told the same story that will have Vision 2030. When we know,
Simba, I think Wilbert
hello,
must finish now,
Yes, I think we're
So
ending
that
now.
I
Thank you very
also
much.
have my 30 seconds.
and I will need
Eh,
my 30 seconds as well.
No, you
yeah,
already have heard.
right. Okay, gents, let's just Chief, can you make it 15 and then Doc Mavaza 15, then Tovadapeza? Is that okay?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay,
15, please.
okay. Yeah. So, Simba, I'll just talk about the topic that we're talking about
Mhm.
because this is all about Professor Mganu, and I want to say um, reiterate what I had already said, that his sentiments are very dangerous, and the people of Zimbabwe should just ignore them because it's what he's saying and what he is agreeing with is never going to happen. That Mutapa Fund is never going to work for the people of Zimbabwe. It will work for only a few people in ZANU PF. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people were already beginning to see Professor Mganu as our Dr. Alice Magaisa, someone who will be advising the public on what is going on. And I was beginning to think, see him in that in that manner. But unfortunately, he has said what he has said, and I hope he is not going to. I know, not hope. I know he is going to live to regret those sentiments. And then, lastly, I just want to correct this. I know that there are a lot of people listening here. Dr. Mavaza always comes here and put me in the same boat, in the same place with Wilbert. We are not. We don't belong. We don't share the same values. And you call him, you call Chamisa Wilbert's boss and so forth. At any point, at every point where Wilbert finds space, you will be castigating Chamisa, you'll be castigating the people's movement, you'll be castigating the efforts of all the citizens of Zimbabwe. I'm surprised today he didn't do that. But Dr. Mawaza, please don't ever give us Wilbert. He doesn't belong to us. He belongs to your side. And you will hear him very soon. you'll be bashing Chamisa, you'll be bashing the citizens of Zimbabwe that they failed to do this, they didn't do reforms, they didn't do A, B,
I
C,
think you
D.
can. I think
You
if you
know,
can,
That's it.
so
Chief, Chief,
Let me
yeah,
summarize.
I just wanted to.
No,
Chief,
no,
you seem to be going personal on him. I think
yeah,
it
yes.
would have
Let
No,
been
no,
me.
no,
if
it's
you
not
have,
personal,
if
Simba. It's
No,
not
yeah,
okay,
personal. That's
Simba,
what he
thank you very
does.
much.
yeah. Okay,
That's
Chief,
what he
so let's
does.
just
And Dr.
okay,
Maraga should
Chief,
not be
right. Okay,
seen in
so
the same
let's have
basket
let
with
me.
him.
okay.
Okay, Simba,
It's not personal.
as I
He
take my
knows.
15
Okay, Chief.
seconds,
Yeah,
as
he
I
Okay,
take
knows
my
what
let's
I'm
15
talking about. It's
seconds,
not
so
personal.
Chief,
let's
can I
end
take
with
my 15 seconds? Chief,
yes.
I want to say, yes, probably he might not be Chamisa's boss, but surely he is a colleague of Chabangu, and therefore they are all triple C. But what I want you to say, which is important here, which I've said, I'll say it quickly, Chief Soshe, the Mutapa Investment Fund is, as I said, is actually going to be a game changer, which is very true. Is touted as a game changer for Zimbabwe's economy and Zimbabwe's people. With a portfolio of over 30 billion US dollars expected by 2030, this will contribute up to, I'm telling figures here, it will contribute up to 20% of the country's GDP. If you don't believe
Wow.
that, just wait and see. The fund's objective includes the revenue. It actually it puts diversification, investing in agriculture, business, finance, in every sector you would think of. And it's going to make it a very sustainable development for the country, focusing on infrastructure, roads, healthcare, and education to drive long-term economic growth for the country. The Mutapa investment is not only for today, it's not for one man, it's for Zimbabwe. It is giving economic empowerment, supporting the previously marginalized communities through land ownership, economic opportunities, and those who never drove in their lives, they are even assisted to drive, given cars to use in their fields.
Oh
So
my goodness. Are you talking about
the
cars
Mutapa,
and you're saying that
yes,
that's
the,
development?
finally, the Mutapa
Gents,
Investment
let's end.
Fund is already
We have to
secured.
end.
I'm finishing. I'm ending here now. I want you to know this. Listen to this, Simba and Segundo Jogora. MIF has already secured lucrative international partnerships and injected capital into critical industries like mining and energy. The fund's transparent governance structure and experienced leadership has made it come what it is. And I know there are some who criticize it and they raise concern that transparency and governance and potential mismanagement is at risk, not with the Mutapa investment. It has been a brainchild of the president, and our president is 99% correct in everything he touches. It progresses, so nobody will be left behind, including Zokora and Wilbert and their Chamisa. They are all invited to enjoy the fruits, the honey, the flower, and the sunshine of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is going to be more greater than it is now, and this is our country.
Gents, we have to end. Right. Small position, rather, this has been our discussion tonight. Is Professor Muganu's proposal that Mutapa Fund is a game changer? Is it true? Or I'll rephrase it: is Mutapa Fund a game changer? This has been our discussion today. Unfortunately, Professor Muganu could not come or did not come, and we're hoping one of these days he will contact and we will have a bit of a munch here around it. Unfortunately, as the chief justice said, there was an incident back in 2016 when certain leaders, certain people who were behind the Tajamuka group, who were arranging a demonstration, all of a sudden changed and they made statements, similar statements soon after meeting the very same Pasipano Jiga. It is what? Pasipano Netsa, sorry, Pasipano Netsa, Mangujiga. And by the way, just as we end, Dr. Mangujiga was one of the first people, if not the first person, that I shared the gold mafia data in 2018, and he brushed it off. And I'm glad I didn't have coffee with him. Let's end.
We don't know about that, but we'll talk about it later. Thank you. Thank you, Simba.
Cheers, folks. Cheers, folks. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Wilbert,
you.
and thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much, Maya.
This
Good
is
night.
Zemi Media, broadcasting all round the world, on the spot, on the dot. This is Zemi Media, broadcast.